Hi, welcome back to Joe Blogs. In this episode, I want to talk about retirement and whether or not it's something that you should be thinking about. In fact, is it something that you should be doing this year? But before we get into the details on that, I want to deal with the term itself, because I think the word retirement is something that we all associate with somebody who's really old, maybe a bit decrepit, they can't actually do much, they sit in an armchair, maybe dribbling, falling asleep, not really doing anything, not contributing, not having much fun, and generally being quite miserable. But that isn't what retirement is all about. In fact, if you leave it until that point in your life to retire, then you've left it too late. Retirement should be a total sense of freedom, enabling you to do exactly whatever you want to do. Now, most of us aren't in a position where we've fully retired because we still have to earn some money to do things. And obviously, you need cash to be able to enjoy yourself, generally speaking. I know there's some people who live an off-grid, totally fulfilled existence and don't need any money at all. But for the most of us, we do need some cash to be able to pay for all of those things. So I think the term retirement needs to be changed. Freedom is what I'm talking about. Freedom to be able to make decisions for yourself. Decide what time you want to go to bed, what time you want to get up, what you're going to do today, and whether or not you want to do any work. And I think the feedback that I got from the most recent video I posted was really incredible. I got about 3 times the amount of comments per view that I normally get. So people were obviously more engaged in that video than they are in most of my other videos. Maybe that's telling me something about my other videos, but that's a different topic. And the feedback was really positive. And that was something that was quite unusual for me, because whilst I do get a lot of positive comments for my general videos, I also get a lot of negativity. But for this video, everybody was really positive. And there were some really interesting comments. A lot of people have already retired. So people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s were commenting saying that they'd left their employment. A lot of people had found an interesting work-life balance beyond their retirement. So some people got bored being retired and then decided they wanted to actually do some work, but they were doing it under their own terms and conditions. So generally, you can decide how much you want to work, how long you want to work, rather than being stuck to that 9 to 5 routine. And in this video, I want to ask you 5 questions which will determine whether or not retirement is something that you should be thinking about doing right now. And the first one of those is, are you happy? Now, are you happy is obviously quite a personal question. It isn't something that you pose to people most of the time. When you see your friends, you'll say, hi, how you doing? How's your week been? How are things going? And they'll generally tell you what's going on. Something might be happening with their partner or their children or their parents or at work or something like that. And generally they'll talk about the ups and downs of the week. But what I'm talking about in this question right now is, are you happy in your life? Is your life going in the right direction? Is it exactly where you expected it to be at this point? And if it isn't, then you need to ask the question as to why you are not fundamentally happy. If there is a serious issue going on in your life right now, is it something that you can address? And is work adding to your happiness or detracting from it? Are you finding that work is now getting in the way? If you really enjoy doing something, if you have a passion or a hobby or a pastime, something that really gets you going, really gives you that buzz, gives you that feeling of being alive, if that's something that you love doing, but you're being prevented from doing it because you're having to go to work from Monday to Friday, or you're working all hours God sends, or something like that, then you need to sit down and think, is this the right balance for me? Have I got the work-life balance correct? And if I could adjust it, would I be happier? If I was going to do more of the thing that I love and less work, would that make me happier? Or would I generally get bored of doing it? Am I only enjoying it because I'm only doing it for a short period of time? So the general question that I'm asking you right now is, are you happy with your life? Is it going in the right direction? And does work add to your happiness, or does it detract from it? And if the answer to that question is that work is generally getting in the way, you would be happier if you didn't have to do so much work or any work, then you might need to start thinking about retirement. The second question I've got for you is, are you healthy? How are things going with your general health? Are you doing well? Are you fit? Are you able to get out and do some exercise? Because doing exercise is really important, not just for your physical well-being, but but also for your mental well-being, because it just helps you to think about things in a different way. Maybe it changes the way you go about living your life. You might decide that you're going to eat differently if you're becoming more healthier, you want to do more exercise, you want to improve your cardio or something like that. But generally speaking, is your health good? Are you happy with the state of your health? And is work having an influence on how healthy you are? Is work stopping you from doing more exercise, for example, or doing more healthy things, or going out and about and getting more fresh air and going for walks and doing things that you enjoy doing that generally link to your overall health? And is work causing you any health problems in terms of stress? So a lot of people have stressful jobs and they have a lot of responsibility at work, and that can build up over a long period of time. You can suddenly start feeling anxious. You might wake up in the middle of the night if you need to go to the toilet, for example, and suddenly you start thinking about something that happened that day or something that you need to do, and the pressure of that stops you going back to sleep and therefore starts to impact on your overall health. So the question that I'm asking you here is work helping you have a healthy lifestyle? Is it enhancing your overall health, or is it detracting from your well-being? And if it's detracting from your well-being, then maybe it's something that you need to have a think about. If changing your job or leaving your job entirely would result in you being healthier, then potentially that could be good for your long-term existence. If you're healthier, you're likely to live longer and have a happier retirement. So maybe if work is impacting on your health, you need to start thinking about retirement. The next question that I want to ask you is, are you seeing enough of your family and loved ones? Are you spending all of the time that you want with them, or is it limited by what you're doing at work? And one of the reasons why this is an important question to ask yourself right now is because things change. Your family, I don't know what the definition of it is, but it might be that you've got older family members, parents, uncles, aunties, those sort of things, possibly even grandparents, or you might have younger family members. You might have a young family, or you might have grown-up children or something of that nature. But whatever you've got, things will change over the next 2, 5, 10, 20 years, and people move on. So unless you spend a lot of time with your family, when the opportunity comes along, that opportunity can disappear. And speaking from my own personal circumstances, my father died earlier this year. I made a video about it, so people who follow the channel will probably be aware of that. And it came out of the blue. He was 75 years of age. I expected him to live to 85 or 90. I think most people assume that their parents will live forever. So I didn't really feel the pressure to go and see him and spend a whole lot of time with him. He lived quite a long way from me. But when he died, I suddenly realised that I hadn't really taken that opportunity whilst he was still there. And now that opportunity has gone forever. And one of the reasons why I didn't do that was because of work. And we all have those situations where you have to do something, and so work gets in the way, and then you cancel something, and then you can't rearrange it, and all of those sort of issues. So the question that I'm asking you right now is, are you spending as much time with your family and loved ones as you'd like to? And as they would like to as well. I don't know whether they want you to or not, but assuming that they are receptive to you spending time with them, are you doing enough of it? And if you did more of it, would it make you happier? To go back to question 1, in terms of, are you happy in your life? Does spending time with family and loved ones make you happier? If it does, then maybe you should think about doing more of that. And is work complementing what you want to do, or is it stopping you from spending that time with your loved ones? And if work is getting in the way of spending time with all of those people that you love, then maybe you should think about retirement. Now, the next question that I want to ask you is, do you have a plan? Have you thought about what life looks like after you stop working, when you go into retirement? Because for a lot of people, it can be a shock to the system. It's one thing thinking, I don't want to do this job anymore. I hate this job. I can't wait to finish and get on to my retirement. But then the first day of your retirement is really quite a surprise to a lot of people, because everybody else that you know who's at working age is still working. So you can't just call them up and say, do you want to meet for a coffee? Do you want to play golf? Would you like to play pickleball? Or whatever it is that you like doing, because they're all busily getting on with their own lives. So you might have a completely empty day stretching out in front of you. And it's not just one day, it's every day for the rest of your life. So you need to think about what retirement looks like. What do you actually want to do? Apart from stopping work, what makes you happy? What's going to give you that fulfillment? Now, maybe you've got a hobby that you want to try to develop, or maybe you've got a business idea that you want to start up, become an older entrepreneur, or maybe you just want to spend more time with friends and family, or maybe you want to play golf, or do more sport, or more exercise, or travel. There are a myriad of different options, but you need to decide what's right for you. And it isn't just a holiday. This isn't just something that you're going to do for a week or 2 weeks and then go back to work. This is forever. Basically, you're committing to having an open diary for the rest of your life. So how are you going to fill that diary? And for a lot of people, work gives them a sense of fulfillment. It gives them a purpose. It gives people status. And all of that gets taken away when you retire. So it's a really important question to ask yourself, what am I going to do? What would I like to do? What does retirement look like for me? And if you don't have any concept of it, if you can't think about what you're going to do when you stop work, then maybe retirement isn't for you. Maybe it isn't the right decision, because what you don't want to do is just get to a point where you've got nothing to do, you're really bored, you might start getting depressed, a little bit anxious, you might not want to go outside of the house, and this can become quite a vicious circle. And before you know it, you might be that old decrepit person sitting in the chair dribbling that I talked about right at the start of this video. So nobody wants to do that. You don't want to have a life of freedom and then completely waste it. You need to have a plan. You need to think about what you want to do. And if you've got a plan, if you've got something that you think, I would absolutely love to go on a cruise for 6 months, or I'd love to go traveling, or I'd love to start my own business, or I'd love to go into the garden and get everything sorted, or maybe you want to start a YouTube channel like me. Who knows what you want to do, but you need to have a plan that gives you something to do. And then once you start doing it, you may find that other ideas come to mind. You might know other people who've got more free time on their hands that you can spend time with, and they may give you some ideas. And so things will start to develop. But you need to have an initial plan and an initial drive. And if you have, then maybe it's time to start thinking about retirement. Now, the final question that I'm going to ask you is, can you afford it? Have you got enough built up to be able to pay for the rest of your life? This isn't a 2-week holiday, as I've just said. This is forever. Now, I don't want to go into the full details of everything in this video because I've already made a video talking about how to retire early. So if you want to talk about the ins and outs of how much you think you might need, check out that video. But in terms of have you got enough? One of the bits of feedback that I've had from the recent video I posted was that a lot of people pointed out that when you actually go into retirement, your outgoings do fall quite significantly. So you don't need to keep buying suits and all of that sort of thing. You're not traveling backwards and forwards to work. So you're probably not spending money on that Starbucks on the way into the office. You're not spending money on expensive lunches. You might not be going out for dinner and drinks as often. So you can reduce the amount that you're actually spending in retirement. So that's something that you can factor in. But also, you just change your outlook on life, because if you've got a certain amount of money to live off, let's say it's $50,000 per year that you can generate from your retirement pot, then you start working out what's the best way that I can spend this. So rather than going on first-class trips on holiday somewhere that you might have done when you're enjoying life in the corporate world, you can just cut your costs and do things on a budget. So you can change the way that you operate. And it can be really good fun, I think, to actually get by on a smaller amount of money and start doing things a bit like a student, where you get real enjoyment out of every dollar that you save in terms of ideas that you've come up with. So there is ways and means of going about it. As I said, I'm not going to go into the details in this video because I've already made that video, but it is a very important question. Can you afford to retire? And you might be surprised to find out that you can. Have a look at what pensions you've already built up, what you've got saved, work out everything, put it on a spreadsheet, work out the numbers, then work out how much you think you're going to start spending, and have a look how far away you are. Maybe you're already at that point, so you can think about retiring right now, or maybe you need to think about adding some more to the pot over the next 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 5 years. But the point of this video really is to get you thinking about retirement, thinking about, will it make you happier? Will it make you healthier? Will it make you spend more time with all of the people that you love before they die or before they lose interest and say, actually, I haven't got time to meet you anymore because I'm too busy? Have you got a plan for retirement? What are you going to do? And can you afford it? And if you answer in the positive to all of those questions, then maybe, just maybe, now is the right time to retire. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not looking for any business from this. I've seen some videos along these lines where people now say, okay, and you can contact me and I'll talk to you about your retirement and we can work out a plan. You can pay me a huge fee. I'm not interested in any of that. I just wanted to share with you the idea, the concept, to get you thinking about retirement. Think about it in a different way. It isn't about sitting in that armchair dribbling, looking out of the window, wishing you were back at work. It's about having freedom, enjoying your life, but you need to make sure that you've worked out everything before you decide that it's time to retire. But if you've done all the calculations, if you've decided that now's the time, then good luck.